Folks, let me tell you something real quick. That wasn't Logan Gilbert we saw on the mound tonight. No, that wasn't even Walter we saw on the mound tonight. That was Heisenberg. Say his name.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ooh, I'm feeling good after that one. Ahoy, sailors. It is once again Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. This is Todd Gonzalez for the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen after the game. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You can now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. 2-0 the final score from T-Mobile Park. Mariners take the first of two from the Padres, and despite a really frustrating game for the Mariners offense, man, did I have a hell of a lot of fun watching this one. And that's because Logan Gilbert was sensational tonight, quite possibly at the very best we've ever seen him in his young major league career. And you know what? Screw it. I'm going to say it. Recency bias be damned. Hyperbole be damned. This was the greatest start of Logan Gilbert's young major league career, especially when you factor in the opponent, right? Yes, the Padres entered this game 55-58, 3 games under 500, but listen to the names in this lineup that Gilbert had to go through tonight. Ha-Seong Kim having a career year. Fernando Tatis Jr. having a really good year, slumping as of late, but still really good year overall. Juan Soto, arguably the best pure hitter in Major League Baseball right now. Manny Machado, at his best, one of the best players in the sport. Xander Bogaerts, really good player as well. Jake Cronenworth, having a down year, but still a very talented dude who had one of the Padres' 3 hits tonight. Gary Sanchez having a little bit of a revival. Garrett Cooper, really solid hitter that they acquired from the Marlins last week. There is some legitimate talent in this Padres lineup. This is one of the better lineups just from a pure talent standpoint in our sport today. And Gilbert shredded right through them and found himself in some rare company tonight, joining Felix Hernandez as the second pitcher in Mariners history to record 10 plus strikeouts, no walks, and allowing 1 or fewer hits in a game. You know, that time that Felix did it? Yeah, just a random afternoon in August of 2012. What was, until like 5 weeks ago, the last perfect game thrown in Major League history. So yeah, pretty good start there by Felix. And if not for the pitch count, Logan Gilbert also would have gone the distance tonight because the Padres had no answers for him. They really had no answers for the Mariners pitching staff in general. Matt Brash, kind of a up and down outing for Brash, but he made it through unscathed. No runs allowed, right? Andres Munoz, great outing from him. Matt Brash, Andres Munoz revenge games, obviously, duh. But yeah, what a start from Logan Gilbert tonight. Amazing stuff. One of the most dominant pitching performances I've seen in a long time, right? One of the most dominant group efforts when you talk about just from a defensive standpoint from the Mariners tonight, because it wasn't just Gilbert. He got some help tonight. Also from, home plate umpire Doug Eddings, but from his defense as well. Julio had an amazing night with obviously that home run robbery of Fernando Tatis Jr. with a fake out where he faked out the entire stadium, made everyone think that that ball went over the wall before he dramatically revealed the ball in his glove. That was pretty awesome. He also made a great running catch to save what would have been a double and did that with ease. And then had a diving play, which it kind of took a little bit of a bad route on, but we'll ignore it. Still a great play. Great recovery from Julio on that one. He was fantastic in the field tonight. Really, the only miscue here was the booted ball from Dylan Moore that gave the Padres their first hit. And scorers, did it really need to be a hit? Because that looked like an error to me, and if they had scored it as such, we would be talking about 7 no-hit innings for Logan Gilbert tonight. Again, it was the pitch count rather, that was Gilbert's demise in this one, if you will, right? That stopped him from going the distance. Gilbert pretty much threw the kitchen sink at the Padres, which was awesome. This is when Gilbert is at his best, or when he's been at his best this year, when he is using all of his pitches effectively. 5 whiffs on the fastball, 4 on the splitter, 5 on the slider, 1 with the knuckle curve. The splitter actually wasn't as much of a weapon as I thought it would be against the Padres lefties, at least Soto, right? He did get the 1 strikeout, the swinging strike 3 on the first at bat for Soto, but after that didn't really throw it against Soto. He threw it 2 more times, both of them went for balls. That was about it. He actually really found a lot of success against Soto specifically with the slider. And speaking of Soto, he had his worst night in his major league career. So while Gilbert had his best, Gilbert and company gave Soto, again, arguably the best pure hitter in Major League Baseball right now, his worst night in his career. So a lot happened in this game. A lot happened for a random 2-0 game on a Tuesday night in Seattle in the middle of August. We're going to talk more about Soto and what the Mariners did to Soto tonight in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Therapy can be helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It can empower you to be the best version of yourself. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And if you don't feel that your match is suitable for you, no worries. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making the show your first listen after the Mariners 2-0 victory over the San Diego Padres. Game 2, the final game of this 2-game set, is tomorrow. You can catch all the action on the Mariners' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. Emerson Hancock presumably making his major league debut in that game. So a lot of exciting stuff happening for the Mariners, especially on the pitching front. And I want to continue talking about this Mariners pitching staff and specifically what they did to Padres superstar outfielder Juan Soto. Juan Soto entered this game with 730 major league games under his belt. Tonight was game 731 for Mr. Soto, who is only 24 years old, still incredibly young, and has already played that many games, right? This is the same man who is currently running a 19.2% walk rate and a 17.3% K rate. That's his career numbers. He is walking more than he is striking out in his entire career, over 731 games. Well, 730. Those numbers are before tonight, but you get the point. He has rarely ever struck out 3 times in a game. And he has never, well, until tonight, struck out 4 times in a game. But again, the Mariners changed that tonight. Gilbert had 3 strikeouts of Soto. Gilbert is the first pitcher in Soto's career to strike him out 3 times in the same game. And then Andres Munoz, to record the second out in the top of the 9th, struck him out with a backdoor slider, nasty backdoor slider to Soto to make it 4. Juan Soto wore the golden sombrero for the first time in his major league career tonight. Yeah, let that sink in. Again, let me read you the numbers again. 19.2% career walk rate, 17.3% career K rate. Dude doesn't strike out ever, let alone 3 times and then 4 times in a game. Hell, it was even impressive when he struck out the first time. When Gilbert got him the second time, I was like, oh my God, this is an incredible start from Logan Gilbert. And then it just got better and better and better. And then Andres Munoz got a piece. Again, Andres Munoz revenge game, of course. Matt Brash revenge game. Didn't go that great, but still scoreless outing for Matt Brash. So good stuff. AJ Preller down in San Diego, weeping, knowing that he's about to get fired for making trades like Matt Brash for Taylor Williams, like Andres Munoz, Ty France, Taylor Trammell, and Luis Torrens for Austin Nola, Dan Altavilla, and Austin Adams. Yeah. It was a really good night. The Mariners have won 6 in a row now. The Blue Jays lost to the Cleveland Guardians tonight, so the Mariners are now 2 back of the 3rd and final wild card in the American League. And it really feels like they're going to do this. It really feels like the magic is back, doesn't it? Let me know in the comments below if you think the magic is back for this team. I do. I think so. I definitely think so. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pick up a game on the Astros because King Felix Bautista over in Baltimore gave up a go-ahead grand slam to Kyle Tucker in the top of the 9th in that game. Orioles had a 6-3 lead. I think they were actually up 6-0 at one point, or maybe 6-1, something like that. And they blew that lead. So unfortunately, the Mariners did not get any help from their next opponent, who's coming to town for Felix weekend. Obviously, Logan Gilbert getting the festivities started early on that front by having a Felix-esque performance tonight. But still, great night for the Mariners. Great night for the pitching staff. Great night overall in the standings, even though, again, they didn't get any help from the Orioles, but they did get help from the Guardians, and they're continuing to put some distance in between them and the rest of the teams that are kind of in the mix there in the wild card. Boston got obliterated by the Kansas City Royals tonight, 9-3. I'm actually trying to see what the score of the Rangers game was. Yeah, they beat the brakes off of the A's, so no help there either. So no help on the division front, but some help there in the wild card race. So again, overall, great night for the Mariners. Lastly, let's talk a little bit about this offense. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners postgame show is brought to you by eBay Motors, and I'm going to need to bring up the ad here. Apparently, I didn't get prepared enough and did not have the ad right here on my Google Chrome. All right, here we go. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head on over to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 2-0 defeat of the San Diego Padres. You can catch game 2 of this series tomorrow night on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. Again, presumably that is going to be Emerson Hancock's major league debut. Really looking forward to that. Colby and I will be talking about our expectations for that one, even though we already kind of did that earlier today on the earlier show, the AM show, whatever you want to call it. We're going to go over that some more tomorrow. But yeah, exciting stuff on that front. All right. So want to wrap up here. Talking a little bit about this offense, which again wasn't wasn't good tonight. Well, it was good until they had runners in scoring position, right? Which I'm sure a lot of you right now are typing furiously away at your keyboard saying, well, that's just Mariners baseball. And it feels like that, but again, need I remind you that the numbers actually show that the Mariners really good with bases loaded, especially this year. But yeah, not tonight. Eugenio Suarez was a big part of those struggles as well. 3 strikeouts on the night, 2 of them coming in those key situations with opportunities to put some runs on the board. They ended up scoring their first run of the game on a pitch clock violation, which resulted in ball 4 with the bases loaded to Cal Raleigh. And that pitch clock violation was committed by a former Mariners prospect, I guess you could call him. I mean, technically he was a prospect, but he was like 27 years old when they traded him. Lefty reliever Ray Kerr, who went over with, what was the other guy's name? Now I'm spacing. Oh, Corey Rozier. He went over to the Padres with Corey Rozier in the Adam Frazier trade in November of 2021. So got to see Ray Kerr, had no clue that he was on the Padres roster until they showed him on the broadcast warming up in the bullpen. And I was like, oh, hey, that's Ray Kerr. All right. Anyway, but yeah, he wasn't particularly good tonight, but the Mariners weren't able to take too much advantage of that. But they were able to get the first run off of the on the board off of Kerr, thanks to his big oopsie, as we'll call it. And then Dylan Moore with a triple over the head of Trent Grisham a couple of innings later gives the Mariners some insurance there with the second run that scores Tom Murphy all the way from first. And that was it. Again, the Mariners really struggled with runners and scoring position, but overall put together a pretty solid night, right? Like Julio had some good at bats. JP went 3 for 4. There were some good nights, throughout the lineup, but still, when they needed that big hit, they just weren't really able to get it for the most part tonight. So that was really frustrating. But thankfully, the pitching was so out of its mind tonight that it didn't even matter. The Padres weren't scoring tonight. So the Mariners, at the end of the day, did their job, and they've won 6 straight, like I mentioned, and they are now 2 games back of the third and final wild card in the American League. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show, or joining me here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. I'm kind of on autopilot, and I just, say the things that I typically say when I got Colby here, but Colby is working tonight. But yeah, thank you for joining me here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give the show a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. That's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well over at Locked On Mariners. That's one word, Locked On Mariners. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making the show your first listen after the Mariners 2-0 victory over the San Diego Padres. Again, you can catch game 2 of the series tomorrow night on the Mariners hometown broadcast, SiriusXM via the SXM app. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day and a beautiful baseball evening, and we'll see you next time. Peace.